He's only there so boys can project themselves onto him. He'll probably continue to be irrelevant until Rayquaza is more involved. A real man would at least aim to catch Mew. Perhaps it's just not a good idea to focus on two protagonists. Pokemon Horizons has two main characters, but only one of them actually matters and the other has been forgotten. Or so they say. Hey Charles, it's everyone. How are you today? And what the hell happened to Roy? TV Tokyo initially pitched the new Pokemon anime as a series starring two heroes. Liko, an introspective young girl with a peculiar pendant, and Roy, an energetic young boy with a mysterious ancient Pokeball. Personality-wise, Liko and Roy are two very different characters, and fans expected that although their mysterious artifacts would be connected in some way or another, Liko would lead the charge on the mystery of the pendant, and Roy would be left to take ownership of the ancient Pokeball story beat. But that is not what happened. It's left many viewers confused or even pissed off, so today's plan is to 1. Take a look at what Japanese fans are saying about the issue, 2. Break down what is really going on, and 3. Discuss the future of the Roy boy. So don't forget to subscribe for more juicy Pokemon nuggets, because we are about to hop it right in. But first, game programming, creative writing, manga drawing, better living. If you're like me, then you love building powerful skills to level up your life and explore your passions. And that is a great reason to snag a 30-day free trial from today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare has a huge breadth of classes to enjoy. It's a great place for creatives to reinvent their careers. For example, if you want to become a pixel artist, I recommend starting with Simon Sanchez's Introduction to Pixel Art, as he covers all the basics you'll need to start on the right foot in just over an hour. And once you're ready to go even deeper, and especially if you're interested in designing pixel art for video games, then Mislav Majandzik's massive pixel art master course is the place to learn the ins and outs of character and environment creation, animation, and more. So whether you're interested in pixel art, programming, drawing anime characters, or something else altogether, I recommend taking advantage of my link below, as the first 500 people to click the link can get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So snag the trial, best of luck skilling up, and with that said, it's back to today's chat. P.S. While you're over on Skillshare, feel free to check out my class on making daily life happier. I'll see you there. It is possible that the English dub of Pokemon Horizons might be released sometime before we all turn into skeletons and decompose, but in the meantime, Japanese fans have had plenty to say about the series, and here are the highlights of the concerns around Roy. Liko has the pendant, Roy has the Pokeball. Liko is handling everything from the 6 heroes to the ancient Pokeballs to Terapagos to the matter of Lucius, lol. On the other hand, is Roy really okay? He doesn't seem to have a protagonist-like role at all. Moreover, Fried keeps stealing the spotlight, and with Liko's grandmother joining the Rising Volt Tacklers, he's in somewhat of a tight spot, isn't he? Roy is exceedingly unremarkable. At the very least, he's not the main character. Compared to Liko, Roy's dream is pretty underwhelming. A real man would at least aim to catch Mew. Go really stood out, but Roy is completely overshadowed. We should be comparing Roy to Chloe, not Go. Do you really think Roy is that overshadowed? I think he functions well as Liko's partner. He could be considered a partner, but he's more like someone who sets the scene, like an assistant supporting the construction of a story centered on Liko. At the moment, this is clearly a story targeting girls, and Roy is just an extra, although things might change after the Terapagos arc. It feels like Roy is just here so they can say, hey, we also have a male protagonist. To put it frankly, they went with a female protagonist because a male protagonist would invite comparisons to Ash. However, Pokemon is fundamentally a series targeted at boys, so they wanted to include both a girl and a boy as dual protagonists. Maybe we just don't need 2 main characters, etc, etc. Basically, the consensus is that Roy plays second fiddle to Liko, which was to be expected to some extent, but moreover that he doesn't stand out from the rest of the cast nearly as much as he should given the dual protagonist label. And that's not untrue, because at this point Roy feels more like a classic Ash Ketchum companion along the lines of Clement or Silent, or Glasses Gremlin, than a frontrunner dual protagonist on the level of Magic Hands Go. Not just because his personality and goals are pretty subdued for a shonen anime-style hero, but also because he lacks the kind of screen time and tender-loving focus that put Go on equal footing with Ash in the previous series. In fact, only 4 or 5 out of the 28 episodes that have aired thus far could reasonably be identified as Roy-focused episodes, and even when he does have dedicated segments, they tend to get interrupted by other events. For example, episode 14 was set up as a Pokebonding episode in which Roy tries to help a Wattrel learn to fly, only for the plotline to suddenly pivot to an exploration and battle segment featuring Freed, then conclude with Spinel hypnotizing Liko and stealing her pendant in a location far away from Roy and Wattrel. Personally, I do enjoy the way Pokemon Horizons weaves together different story beats within and across episodes, but this particular scenario really did take a big chunk out of the classic Pokebonding episode formula. In his only other post-introduction focus episode, Roy trained hard with his Pokemon to improve for their next sparring match against Cap, and it was a solid episode for him, the Goofy Gator, and Mr. Wattrel. But usually his development runs a layer below whatever it is that Liko is doing, and it's hard to ignore that at times his existence really does look like little more than a hedge against the loss of the hot-headed, never-give-up Ash Ketchum archetype. But is that even a bad thing? Because the action-oriented Roy plays the foil to Liko's introspective, cautious personality really well, and the way the two rookies approach the same situations from different angles is part of the show's charm. Episode 20 and Episode 22 are good examples of how they play off one another. In these two episodes, Roy inspires Liko with strong shows of fighting spirit, but he does so without overshadowing Liko's more cautious approach to the challenges they face, instead functioning like an assistant who builds up her narrative just like that one Japanese commenter suggested. Liko's experience is emphasized, but Roy's contributions aren't swept under the rug, so it seems like a perfectly workable setup. But there's more to the issue, because even though Roy is always in shot a step or two behind Liko, many viewers are still irritated to see this type of character have such a weak sense of presence relative to his co-star. However, given the complaints about how the Ash-Go focus split in Pokemon Journeys dragged down the strength and pace of the story, it seems like a reasonable game plan to prioritize one dual protagonist over the other, and to consolidate the anime's narrative oomph into one character. Even so, Liko is a pretty unconventional character to lead the charge. Of course, without a doubt, she is the main character, just as the original promo shot with her in the foreground suggested. As most of the episodes are framed from her point of view, she has far more screen time, she literally took over what everyone thought was Roy's plotline, and she even outclasses Roy in battle more often than not. But this seems to rub quite a few Legacy fans the wrong way, and it's probably because she is just so different from the typical Pokemon protagonist. Pulling a complete 180 from Ash Ketchum, Liko feels more like the protagonist of a shoujo manga than a Pokemon story or shonen anime or monster show geared towards the boys, and she's the type of character you'd usually see supporting the main character in these types of stories. On the other hand, we have Roy, who does fit the typical shonen anime hero archetype, but he's more Bucky Barnes than Batman, so it makes sense why viewers who've come in from the Ash Ketchum era Pokemon anime or similar shows in the genre would find this setup unfamiliar, awkward, or frustrating, because it clashes with the expectations to have the conventional support character driving the show and the character people would typically root for playing the sidekick. However, even if Roy currently is little more than a sidekick, a self-insert placeholder for young male viewers, or just a hedge against the loss of Ash, he gives viewers who like that kind of character someone to connect with, and he brings wholesome energy and good vibes to every episode. As for the future of Roy, we know that he wants to become a world-class adventurer, that he wants both himself and Fuecoco to get much stronger, and that he's still laser-focused on tracking down Rayquaza even if Liko has wrestled away most of the Ancient Ball plotline. So although as of now Roy has been largely sidelined, Pokemon Horizons is only just getting started, and by the end of it we might see bigger things from Roy than anyone expects. But what do you think about Liko Roy and the dual protagonist setup?